Good morning, children. How are you all? I think all are fine and healthy. So, I'm going to continue the lesson of 6th standard, that is social studies. What was the lesson I was doing for you? Introduction to history. So, this is the 6th standard social science. What was the lesson previously I was doing for you? Introduction to history. Did you read the lesson? Did you underline the difficult words? I hope you have done your work. So I am going to recall you whatever I have done for you. So first you should know what is history. As I told, history is the systematic presentation of the past event, and I told about Herodotus also. Herodotus was the father of history. So next I did the sources. What are sources? Do you remember or you have already forgotten? Do you remember anything what I have done for you? Do you? Yeah, I'm going to recall you once again. Sources, a place, a person, or the thing from which something originate can be obtained. Without sources, we cannot study history. So I told. Next, sources can be classified into two groups: literary source and another one archaeological sources. So I did only for you the literary sources. So I'm going to read out for you once again. I'm going to explain for you once again. Literary source means any information that is written or told by the people orally. Did you understand what I told? Did you read at least? Did you underline the words? I hope so. So there are two kinds in the literary sources, that is literature and the oral literature. What? Written literature and oral literature. There are two kinds in the literary sources. What that is written literature and oral literature. Already I have explained you. Written literature is further classified into native and foreign literature. What is native literature? That is foreigners who came to India and wrote the literature in the form of songs, stories, etc. Next is foreign literature, study of works, poem, novels, plays, etc. written in foreign languages. What? Foreign languages. I've already explained you oral literature also. So oral literature includes like folk, study of tradition and knowledges, song, story, ballads. Ballads mean a poem or song narrating a story in short stanza. Even I explained you about myths also. Myths means explaining a natural or social history of the people. What are legends? Stories of the king, which is historical. So did you understand till here? I hope so. You have already understood till here. So next I'll be explaining for you the archaeological sources. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. So here archaeological. Before going into the lesson, first I would like to explain you archaeological. What do you mean by archaeological? The physical remains means like what means like bones, teeth, etc., which you find while you're digging the ground. Any things which are found while you're digging the ground, this process is known as excavation. I'm going to explain you later on. So it also includes material remains like clay pots, stone tools, building, jewelry, etc. While you're digging, whatever materials you get, that method is known as what? That is known as excavation. So archaeological sources include, please children, I think already you have understood literary sources. So open to your page number 3, that is Introduction to the History. So keep your fingers where I read, that is archaeological sources. So I'm going to read the lesson now. Along with that, I'll be explaining. Please underline the difficult words, and I'll be telling the meanings also. Please underline the words and write the meanings above the words. The physical remains or the ruins, the things used or the constructed structures in the past are archaeological sources. So already I have told you what are archaeological sources. That is the physical remains. That means like bones, teeth, etc. When we are digging, we get things like this. It also include materials like remains like clay pots, stone tools, building, jewelry, etc. While this process is also known as like excavation. So the physical remains or the ruins means destruction. While anything would have happened, okay, anything would have happened, that is destruction, like natural calamities would have happened, and it would have buried, all these things would have buried, like bones of animals or the human beings, for example, a kingdom would have been there, flourishing, okay, there would have been a king, a queen, and an empire. Some natural calamity would have happened, and all the things would have buried in the, that is mud. While digging, you may get any things like teeth, bone, or the clay pots, stones, tools, buildings, jewelry like bricks and all. This tells us that there was a empire, there was flourishing. So this tells us that there was a animal or there was any human being who was there in this place, okay. So I'm going to read the line again. The physical remains or ruins, that means destruction, of the things used or the constructed structure in the past are archaeological sources. I think you have already understood. Next, that is to a third line. The remains that have been buried in the earth are removed through excavation. So already I have told you the method which is included during archaeological sources method. So that method is known as excavation. The remains that have been buried mean hidden underground, buried mean hidden underground in the earth are removed through excavation. I told you whatever you get during digging the process, that is excavation, excavation that is in the earth are removed through excavation. So next line, the historical evidences include coins, anything you may get like coins, inscription, monuments, piece of pots, and other artifacts. What are monuments? A statue, building, or the structure of the noble person. You may get a king statue. Maybe it would have been written the name of the king on that. That is a monument. Next, you have the artifact. What do you mean by artifact? An object made by a human being, typically one of cultural or historical interest. What is the artifact? An object made by the human being. Anything which is made by the human being you may get while you are digging, that is excavation. Typically one of cultural or historical interest. Next, so you have in the that is yellow block. See, you have a yellow block. So the scientific process involved in digging the earth to obtain the ancient remain or fossils of our ancient people is called excavation. So I told you before. So I am going to read you once again this line. The scientific process involved in digging the earth obtained the ancient remains or the fossils. Fossils are bones of our ancient people, of our ancestors, of our kings is called excavation. So during excavation, what are the tools required for the archaeologist? What are the tools required for the archaeologist to do excavation? So that is brush, trowel, knife, and wood needles are used to move the layers of the earth. So you have to do very sensitively, because these are buried many years ago. So while you are doing this process, you have to need patience for doing this. So which are the tools that you required during excavation are brush, trowel, knife, wood needles are used to move the layers of the earth. So next line, the pieces of pots, coins, beads, crystals, and bones thus obtained are subjected to scientific research. So the pieces you may get like pieces of pots like coins, coins may be of gold or silver or bronze. Beads means the while digging you may get that is pots, coins, that coins may be of gold, silver, etc. Bronze, beads, for example beads like what you use like jewelries, crystals, and bones. Crystals means like you may get diamond, you may get pearls, etc. And bones. Bones, bones are the remains of the human being or the animals that thus obtained are subjected to scientific research, and these are taken for the further investigation, further research, and the after investigation, all these are taken by the archaeologist for the further investigation. Children, did you understand? Do you want me to repeat once again? Okay, I'll be repeating once again for you. Archaeological sources are the scientific study of history or the prehistoric people and their culture by the analysis of their artifacts, inscription, monuments, and other such remains. I think you have already understood literary sources and archaeological sources. So next we'll go for the page 4. Page 4. Now you can see the drawing here, the sources of history, that is literary sources, archaeological sources. So literary sources are further divided into written literature and oral literature. So in written literature you can see native literature and foreign literature, as I have already explained for you. Then the next is oral literature, that is Lavanese, folk tales, historic legend. This is literary sources. Next you have archaeological sources, that is monuments, coins, inscription, other archaeological remains. I've already told you what do you mean by inscriptions, that is especially words carved or engraved on a coin or tomb, that is in a coin or tomb means the slabs of stones. Children, do you have any doubts? I hope I have already cleared your doubts. No need of getting panic. Please read the let's say this paragraph once again, means this lesson once again, you will understand. Please underline the difficult words. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. So next we'll be going for the page number 5. That is India as introduced by Europeans. India as introduced by Europeans. So this means which is our country? India. So India, when the Europeans came, how did they introduce our country as? So who are the Europeans? You may have a question in mind. Who are the Europeans? The Europeans are who came to India, like the countries, that is European countries, are Portuguese, Dutch, English and French. So once again I'm going to explain you India as introduced by Europeans. So India is our country. So according to their eyes, that is Europeans, how did they introduce India? So who are the Europeans? Which are the countries who came to India? So the Europeans means that is Portuguese, Dutch, English and French. These are the Europeans who came to India. So please point your fingers where I read. So I am going to start the first paragraph of this page. Indians had the knowledge of history in the forms of Puranas and myths. Indians had the knowledge of history in the forms of Puranas and myths. What do you mean by Purana? Purana, any of a class of a sacred writing on the, that is Hindu mythology and folklore of that is varying date and origin. Puranas are any of a class of Sanskrit sacred writing, that is the writing. The Puranas are written in which language? Sanskrit. In which language? Sanskrit. Who wrote? These are written by the Brahmins. That is mythology and the folklore of that is varying date and origin. Next, that is myth. What is a myth? A traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of a people. That is a what myth means, a traditional story. It may be any story that is traditionally, that is especially one concerning the early history of the people, that is dealing with the history. It should deal with the history relating to the people. That is from ancient time, that is from olden days, days. So go to the next line. But this was different from the European model of constructing history. That is, European means the people who came from European countries. Okay, among the Europeans who arrived in India in 16th century were Jesuit. Jesuit priest. Jesuit priest. They are priest. What was the name of the Europeans who arrived India in 16th century were Jesuit priest. They were that is, they belong from the church. They belong from the church. It's are the priest of the church. They undertook a systematic study to understand the lifestyle of that is Indians. They wanted to study our culture deeply. So among them, who was the European who came and settled was Heinrich Roth. Heinrich Roth, who was settled in Agra, translated Sanskrit grammar into Latin languages about 350 years ago. So as I told you, one of the European who came to India and settled down, what was his name? Heinrich Roth, who settled in Agra, translated Sanskrit. You know that Puranas, myths and all are written in Sanskrit language, So he translated into Latin language about 350 years ago. That is their language. It was the language of the European, Latin. Next line. A century later, Father Cardew, X is silent for you, identified that there are many similarities between Sanskrit and European languages. So, according to Father Cardew, he said there are many similarities. They are similar. That is, Sanskrit and European language are similar to each other. Meanwhile, the British got the revenue rights in the Bengal. So when the British, that is the Europeans include, I told you, Portuguese, Dutch, English, French and other countries. So when they came and settled in India, the British got the that is revenue rights in the Bengal. So where were they when the Europeans came? They were in Bengal. Revenue means tax. They got the so I told that the Europeans came to India for the trade purpose. So before only I told you European came to India for the trade purpose, as India was a rich country in the sense that is what rich in spices, gold, silver, pearls, diamond, etc. So next they came and settled in Bengal. They came and settled in Bengal to collect the taxes from the people, that is revenue from the people. The British officer tried to understand the history. So they came to India first to understand the history of our country, that is tradition, custom, values, beliefs and laws of Indian, to strengthen their trade relationship. They wanted to first, if you understand the trade, that is the custom, values, beliefs and law of the Indian, they can that is strengthen their relationship in the trade. They can have a good trade between India and European countries. They can have a good trade between India and European countries. So next line, some administrators. Administrator means what? A person who is responsible for carrying out the administration. A person responsible for carrying out the administration is known as administrator of a business or a organization. Because you know, I have already told the Europeans came to India for the what? A business purpose. They came to India for business purpose. So some administrators were attracted towards Indian literature and culture. So you know, India is a country of what? A cultural. India is known as a cultural land and a literary land. As a result, Manusmriti, Bhagavad Gita and other great literary works were translated into English. So as a result, European translated many of our literary works into their languages. Maybe I told you they started to write the books which were in Sanskrit. They started to write in Latin languages, which was very fluent for them. As a result, Manusmriti, what is Manusmriti? Is a part of a set of documents known as Dharma Shastras. What? It is a part of a set of document known as Dharma Shastras. It is a code of conduct put together by Brahmins, that is upper caste community. So Manusmriti is constructed by Brahmins. Manusmriti is constructed by Brahmins. So once again I am going to repeat you this. It is a part of a set of document known as Dharma Shastra. Dharma Shastras. So Dharma Shastra, it is a code of conduct put together by Brahmins, that is upper caste. Brahmins were known for the upper caste. They are known for the higher caste people. So Manusmriti, Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita, who wrote Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita was written by Vyasa Maharishi. Who was he? His name was Vyasa. His name was Vyasa. He was also famously known as Maharishi. What is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita was a Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita, it is a part of Mahabharata. It is a part of Mahabharata. Important events are extracted from Mahabharata. So in Bhagavad Gita, important events are extracted from Mahabharata to explain to easily. And other great literary works were translated into English, and many other literary works. For example, I am going to tell you the next. So once again, I am going to recall you this. So India as introduction by Europeans. So already I have told you, India, the Europeans came to India for the purpose of trade. So among the Europeans who arrived first to India in 16th century were Jesuits. Who are Jesuits? As I told you, Jesuits are that is in 1534 Ignatius Loyola established the Society of Jesus in Paris. This is a male religious congregation of the Catholic Church. The member of the Society of Jesus are known as Jesuit. What? The member of the Society of Jesus are known as Jesuit, that is the priest. So priest, they understood a systematic study to understand the lifestyle of India. Among them were Heinrich Roth, who came to India and settled in India, and he translated many works that which were in Sanskrit into Latin language. So another person who came to India was Father, that is Cordu. Father Cordu, even he found many similarities between Sanskrit and European language, and many other Europeans, they came to India and settled, and they started ruling our country for the purpose of collecting tax. For the purpose of collecting tax, the British officer tried to understand why they came to India, to understand our history, tradition, custom, because they wanted to have a trade relation between our country and the European countries. So I told Manusmriti and Bhagavad Gita are the literary works which were translated into English, and that is Manusmriti was written by Manu. Bhagavad Gita was written by Vyasa, that is Vyasa Maharishi, and other literary works were translated into English and Latin languages. English and Latin languages. They wrote not only in Latin language but also in English language. So can you see the pictures in the page number 5? William Jones and Max Muller. William Jones and Max Muller, even they are Europeans. Even they are Europeans who came to India for the trade purpose. I think children, you have already understood. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Please underline the difficult words. You have many difficult words and it would be very difficult for you to pronounce. If you don't read the lesson again and again, you will not be able to pronounce the word. Please, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. If you have more difficult words, please write it 5 times. Please write it 5 times in your homework book. In your homework book, there are many difficult words in this chapter because these are new words for you. These are new words for you. I hope so you have understood the lesson. In the next class, I would like to explain you about many other Europeans. Among them were Sir William Jones, Abbé Du Bois and others. Thank you children for attending this class. Have a nice day.